The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/247 and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, permitted parishes only, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or visit oasas.ny.gov/gambling. Standard text messaging rates apply. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Utah, and other states where prohibited.
JamesAllen.com is the online destination to easily design a customized engagement ring and save up to 50% compared to traditional stores. You pick a diamond, whether it's lab-created or earth-created. James Allen has over 200,000 conflict-free stones. Then you pick your ring setting and metal. And if you need some help, they have real-time diamond consultations available, where an expert can walk you through it all. Get 25% off your order at JamesAllen.com code podcast. That's JamesAllen.com code podcast.
Welcome to the PowerCat Podcast, GoPowerCat.com's Kansas State Athletics Show. Now, here's your host, GoPowerCat publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to this week's edition of the PowerCat Questions Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Tim Fitzgerald, Zach Carlson, Ryan Gilbert here in the Cats and Dogs studio.
We're really going with it.
Yeah, I'm just rolling with it. I'll call it whatever I want. If I want to call it the murder studio, I will. I think it'd be bad marketing, though.
Be careful what you say about murder. Like on Family Feud, that one dude who got arrested for giving his answer about murdering his wife.
Huh. Really?
Foreshadowing.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Be careful. This could be used as evidence.
What's going on here? Why is my microphone loose? We are also joined in the podcast studio, which is a damn room in my house, with my shadow. I've got a shadow today. He's learning a lot about journalism. He got free lunch. It's an important part of journalism. Lance Isley from Olathe West, which I didn't even know was a school. I think he just made up the school. I don't think there is an Olathe West.
Cole went there, right?
No, he went to North.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Lance is from the nice
directional.
part of Olathe.
Yeah, he's the bougie part of
So
Olathe.
what happens to your shadow when it's dark out?
Ooh, well, I'm going to send him home before it gets dark.
Okay, smart.
I think his mom wants him back. She has not DM'd me and said, just keep him. He's a pain in the ass. He seems like a nice guy, but you know what? If he can mow the lawn, maybe we'll find a spot for him around here. We're sponsored by The Fridge. I know a lot of you made it to The Fridge this weekend. They were hopping. I walked in The Fridge on Thursday to talk to the crew. I wasn't even going in to buy anything. I just went by it, drop something off. And I am faced with one of my best friends in the world who does not live here. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm telling you what, folks, if Tad Christian can come from Atlanta, Georgia, just to go to the fridge, you can make it too. I think actually he had like a class reunion for his wife, but I'm just going to say, as far as the fridge knows, he drove from Atlanta to buy their products. Stop into the fridge whenever you're in town. And we appreciate them being a longtime sponsor of the Power Cat Questions podcast. On we go with the questions from Wabash Station. Ryan Gills Gilbert, do your reading thing now.
From Jerome Yang.
Oh, that guy.
Is R.J. Garcia the best wide receiver on the team?
No. No.
Not right now.
No.
After Saturday?
I mean, we haven't seen Keegan Johnson, and they're all raving about him. Hopefully we'll see him this weekend, but that sounded kind of doubtful today. I mean, I think if you've missed 2 games, you're more than nicked up. Nicked up to me is like, I got a boo-boo, and, maybe I can't play for a game, but I'll be fine next week. I think nicked up has a 1-game limit. So Chris Kleiman said he was nicked up. Now, look, I think RJ's really good. And, he's moved into the Cade Warner role. You can see how they used him was very similar. Kid makes plays. He goes out there and, runs good routes, blocks well. Does the most important thing. You throw him the ball, he's going to catch the damn thing. And I like him a lot. I like him on the field, off the field. I like this receiver core. After what I saw from the freshmen, they've got some depth finally at receiver. It's been a problem. I think they've solved it.
I'm willing to say that he could be the best receiver on the team, but also with Keegan Johnson out, that's more time for RJ and Will to gain some chemistry. And if RJ continues at the pace he's going at and catching balls from Will and, maybe becoming that preferred wide receiver, he may not necessarily be the best player, but if he's the number 1 target, wouldn't you think that means that he is indeed the best receiver if he's getting the majority of the catches? And if Will's able to put balls out there that, RJ's comfortable catching, I think that's, he can definitely become that number 1 guy.
The question just says receiver. So I assume he means wide receiver, but if not, Ben Sinnott clearly is the best receiver.
Catcher. Yeah.
Best pass catcher, sure. But right now, I think R.J. Garcia's got such a bright future, but as of right now on the team, I think that's still up for debate.
Yeah, I would totally agree. It's a little too early to say that, but I was impressed with him. I'm happy he's finally getting his opportunity and making the most of it.
Same thing with Avery Johnson. Like, his ceiling is probably higher than Will Howard's. Just looking at the trajectory of his whole K-State career, but as of right now, obviously getting your body in physical condition, but just knowing the playbook, there's so much that goes into it. We got to remember that Johnson had, 20 snaps, 25 snaps? That's fine. I mean, he probably had 20, 25 snaps down in the playbook, but knowing the entirety of everything and being comfortable to check in and out of stuff, I know Will Howard was probably not comfortable with doing that in year 1. So the future is bright for R.J. Garcia, but as of right now, I think it's tough to say he is the best. Obviously, Phillip Brooks has been in Manhattan for a lot longer. Who knows what Keegan Johnson will become?
Boy, that was insightful. I mean, I bring a shadow into the room, and Gills sees a threat, and he steps his game up, Zach.
I think that's what happened.
I mean, I could bring like a squirrel into the room and probably threatened by it. Anyhow, go ahead.
Brooks has suffered with some drops in his career, right? Uh-huh. So maybe there's more trust with Garcia at this point in time.
I would agree.
From Wildcat Pilot 88, which of the freshmen that played last week do you expect to be regular contributors this year?
Oh, I think Asen. We had him in the room.
Yeah, we had Asen Newsome today in media. Press
he looks like a Division I athlete that had been here for 3 years.
What is
4
going
years.
on? I mean, that kid's an 18-year-old freshman, maybe 19. He handles himself like he's 25 and has done this for years and years. That's physically, they're just getting a different level of athlete right now. And they're also, I don't know about you guys, I didn't get a chance to talk to Colby McAllister. That he was in, right?
Yeah.
But I am blown away by the quality of these kids. The way he handled himself, the way Avery handled himself in postgame on Saturday. It's impressive. But, yeah, I think Asa, he's going to be rotating through there quite a bit. And that spot, he's backing up more, and that spot's going to be fine. That's just really impressive. I think some of those guys on defense are going to be the ones who play. I don't know how you redshirt Jack Fabris after what he did. I mean, that was aggressive safety play. Impressive.
I think I would say most freshmen that played. I would be willing to bet that more than half. I don't know exact guys necessarily, and I'm not going to name anybody, but it wouldn't surprise me if throughout the season, half of those true freshmen or more do not utilize a red shirt, and they play more than their 4 games. But am I crazy for thinking that Avery Johnson is going to be a major contributor this season?
Look, I understand the desire to redshirt him, but I think what we saw on Saturday made it very clear. He can help you win football games this year. And if you have someone on your roster who can make you a better football team by being on the field, you got to play him. I think they can carve out a role for him as the non-starter that come in and, play a little bit. Maybe, as I've said it again, the Wildcat quarterback, maybe he just comes in and mixes it up a little bit. But that dude can play, and I think you need to find a role for him.
What goes through a defense's mind, even if he's just a decoy? You see Will Howard at quarterback all game, and then here comes Avery Johnson, and Howard's now in the slot. Like, okay, we know what's going to happen here. So he's not going to take Howard's spot, but just get him in there for some trick plays. Johnson will be a contributor. I don't know if he'll be major or regular, but I think the redshirt conversation's kind of been put to rest after Saturday. Am I wrong?
No. I mean, you're not. I'm still hearing there's a desire to do it, but boy, I don't know how you do it. I just don't. And Chris Kleiman's right. This day and age of the portal, you just play guys. If they can help you, you got to play them, and then maybe they get an injury and the red shirt's available.
I mean, it comes down to this. Do you believe that Avery Johnson is going to be Kansas State's starting quarterback in 2027? If the answer is no, don't redshirt him.
No.
If the answer is
you don't
yes,
need to redshirt him.
He's not good enough to go to the NFL. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
You don't want Avery Johnson here for his senior year.
I think he's going to probably look like Deuce Vaughn. He'll play this year, start the next 2 years potentially. Depends on what Will wants to do, but if Will wants to use his COVID year and come back next year, it's going to be a full-on quarterback battle, I think. I don't think that if Will Howard comes back, he's not going to get the same benefit that the offensive line extra year guys got this year. I think the offensive line probably got a little bit of a favor. I'm sure Connor Riley would hate me saying that, and he would say that, oh no, they earned it, but come on now. They've got the experience. They absolutely deserve to be there, just based on that. But they're taking the spots of those young guys, so it's probably a little frustrating for that room. But I don't think that'll be the same case at quarterback next year. If Will Howard comes back next year, he's going to have to fight for his job, I think, because Avery Johnson showed just in a few minutes on Saturday what he's capable of.
I agree. Totally. I'm blown away. I was absolutely blown away by the level at which Avery Johnson played as a true freshman.
So Avery Johnson helped you out in more ways than one.
Yes, it was a very uplifting experience, yeah.
From Call Me T22, should we be concerned that the defense didn't force a single turnover on Saturday, or did K-State just play a conservative-based defense with lots of dudes and force SEMO to actually move the ball?
SEMO probably took care of the ball decently well.
I know
they didn't score any points, but if you're going 3 and outs and not moving the football and punting a lot, you're not necessarily going to be turnover prone if you're not trying to make big plays.
I know it didn't look like a good team because K-State handled them, but that's a good team. They probably don't turn the ball over on a regular basis.
Well coached.
Yeah, they are well coached. And if they go into this weekend and don't have turnovers, then I think we've got something to talk about. But just this one-off, no. It was such a dominating defense performance. It didn't seem that important.
Yeah. What was the line we created for interceptions on the season? It was double digits, right? Like, there's still a good chance K-State can get there.
Sure, but I thought it was an insane. I think I went under. I thought it was an insane number. So,
well, good thing I'm not an odds maker.
I feel great about Saturday's performance. A shutout with no turnovers. Whew.
I would say the concern would be more with K-State's turnovers. I know the interception is not something to be concerned with. The offensive line will clean that up, but I mean, it doesn't get talked about that Phillip Brooks muffed the punt, right? He dove back on it, avoided the turnover, but that's an easy way to lose trust in your coach is by, dropping the football in those plays. Ben Sinnott on that deep pass, great play, running up the field, loses the football, and then RJ Garcia is there to pick it up and keep going. Like, K-State was fortunate a couple times in this game where if you're playing, I don't want to say Troy, but if you're playing Texas or TCU, who maybe not anymore after what we saw Saturday, but in the Big 12, you can't get away with those plays.
Yeah, they can't. And that was just kind of a fluke. Sinnott came down awfully hard, but he landed on top of the player and bounced the ball out. But RJ Garcia said after the game he didn't know it was live and kind of picked it up and then realized, I better run.
There's no whistle.
And didn't quite make it to the end zone. But, yeah, it was a day that things went right.
I don't know if this defense, though, is going to be one to force a bunch of turnovers. I don't know if that's how they're going to have to be successful. Right, making a stop on a 3rd and 5 is just as good as creating a turnover. Right, you're going to get the ball back one way or another. I think that's just me personally, but you don't have to have turnovers. So I think they played it maybe a little vanilla, but it won them the game by 45.
Yeah, exactly.
Last question for the first half. From TDE67, what group needs to perform better than last week to ensure K-State covers against Troy?
Give me that again.
What group needs to perform better?
I'll go with offensive line. I mean, I thought of all the groups, considering their experience, they didn't perform at quite the level they're capable of and need to perform this week. They need to dictate the course of this game with Troy. They've got an outstanding pass rusher. They got to protect Will. I think it's going to come down to that line. You're going to go with holders, aren't you?
Did they miss anything? Did they bobble anything?
No,
not the holders.
Okay.
Thought Randon did a good job.
Snapper.
I think I'm with you, Fitz. I think offensive line.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
We went out of that game, I think, happy with the depth at wide receiver, right? Will Howard played great. Defense gave up 0 points. And so the biggest mistake from that game was a product of the offensive line, getting Will Howard hit. So,
that was really that really was the only blip the entire game was that interception and the pressure that caused it. So
thankfully, he didn't get hurt in the process. I mean, he got hit right on the knees. I mean, that was just a really dangerous play, a direct route to the quarterback. Never sees him coming. You can't do that. That's not how it's supposed to go. But it happened. Hopefully, Carver Willis learns from it. And I don't know. I think we'll see BB just start at right tackle on Saturday. I think they'll just go that direction from the very beginning of the game. I mean, you've got 2 returning guards with Panzer and Potier, so why not just let them play? And Hadley Panzer said Tuesday at the press conference that he doesn't mind flipping back and forth from left to right. He's perfectly comfortable. Of course, he can play center too if they really need him. So it's interesting. They got some nice pieces they can mix and match with, but the tackle depth is a concern. They got to develop those guys. They've had problems recruiting true tackles. This class, they're doing it, but it's been an issue. That's it.
I agree.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing.
You're welcome.
That's it for the first half of the PowerCat Questions podcast. That was a quick one. But we're not performing up to talkative standards here. It's Lance. It's putting a lot of pressure on us. He's just sitting over there staring at us. Just try to ignore him. We'll move on to the second half after this break.
GoPowerCat.com's PowerCat podcast continues after this short break.
JamesAllen.com is the online destination to easily design a customized engagement ring and save up to 50% compared to traditional stores. You pick a diamond, whether it's lab-created or earth-created, James Allen has over 200,000 conflict-free stones. Then you pick your ring setting and metal. And if you need some help, they have real-time diamond consultations available, where an expert can walk you through it all. Get 25% off your order at JamesAllen.com, code podcast. That's JamesAllen.com, code podcast.
Welcome back to the PowerCat podcast.
Welcome back to the PowerCat Questions Podcast, your weekly adventure into Kansas State sports from the team at Go PowerCat. I'm Fitz, he's Zach, he's Gills. We've all got Z's in our name for no good reason. Oh, we made Gills have a Z in his name. He technically doesn't have a Z in his name, but we gave him one. And plus, we don't really like him. We're sponsored by the Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Make sure you stop into the Fridge every time you're in town. They are sitting right there in an old Blockbuster. You can't miss them. At the corner of Claflin and Westport.
Well, you can now because they changed their sign from the old Blockbuster. You know, you could tell they cut it perfectly to.
So disappointing when they did that.
Yeah.
But it's still an awesome place. I've decided I'm going to have a change of career. After going in the other day, Kevin offered me a job as a greeter, like, you know, the old guy at Walmart. I think me being a greeter at a liquor store is really on brand.
Not after your tweet this weekend.
Well, I don't want to talk about that.
You should just check IDs at the door, and then people are good to go. Buy their booze and get out. Right?
It's
like a doorman.
Okay, I like it. Like, kids, just bring me your fake, you know. Oh, nice to meet you. You're 35 years old. Okay, cool. Go ahead and get some of that fresh booze right off that booze tree at the Fridge. On with your questions from Wabash Station. Here's Ryan Gilbert. He's going to speak now. Speak now, Ryan Gilbert. Speak.
From third gen Wildcat. This is the deepest, most talented K-State team since blank.
Boy, that's tough.
I don't know if this team is deeper than last year's, to be honest.
It's a good point. I think the freshmen have come in and added substantially to this team. I'll say this. There's never been a freshman class as impactful as this one. Sure. And I've been covering K-State sports since I was in college in the 80s. I'm old, and I've never seen anything like what this class is doing. So I'm wildly optimistic about the future of this program. In fact, I did a hit on SiriusXM here before we started recording on Tuesday afternoon, and that was a question the guys asked me on Big 12 Today about, is this program set up? And I think, yeah, they asked for a vibe check, and I said the vibes are really good. The vibes are really good coming out of Benear. Anyone else? Yeah.
With the depth, go back to last year. K-State lost TP early on. Adrian Martinez didn't pan out. Kobe Savage, Daniel Green, all these guys are getting hurt. So maybe it doesn't feel like K-State was that deep of a team, but the depth of that team is what allowed them to win the Big 12 championship and go to the Sugar Bowl. So, maybe in your mind you think, oh, they weren't that deep, but that's just what they were given towards the end of the season. So I think last year's team was honestly more deep than what K-State has now. There's still a lot of questions. I think a lot of people, coaching staff, have gained trust in Jacob Parrish, but there's still question marks with Will Lee, cornerbacks, stuff like that. And of course, injuries are going to happen. So obviously 5 minutes ago, we talked about the wide receivers and how they performed well in week 1. But where was Jaden Jackson for the final 50 minutes of Saturday's game? Can RJ Garcia do that again? So they're pointing in the right direction, but it was just one game against an FCS opponent. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think they feel deep, but they're not necessarily proven at the moment.
And they're healthy. They came out, RJ Garcia's shoulder is fine. Like everything else is 100%.
There really wasn't any, injury stuff from Saturday. Obviously, you can't count on that being every game. Stuff will happen. But yeah, like you mentioned about last season being deep, they lost a lot of guys last year and they still won the Big 12 championship. So I think we'll find out as the injuries come and the season goes on, what might be the weak spots of K-State. But I think that it'll take the full view of the 2023 season before we can kind of answer this question and determine, hey, how does this team compare from a depth and talent standpoint? On paper, it looks good. They're recruiting a lot higher quality of an athlete, but there's still some time before you can really give it the full grade that you need to give it.
Yep, I would agree.
They're off to a good start with Saturday's game. Kleiman mentioned that on Tuesday, how getting those young players basically a half of football, if not more, if not less, but being able to build a big lead early and get those young guys some time so that when their bell is rung, they're not going to be a deer in headlights. They know what to do. They've been there. So we'll find out at the end of the year, like Zach said, but it was a step in the right direction after Saturday, but I think it's premature to say that this is an insanely deep roster.
Yep, it is. And it's going to be fun watching those guys, see who plays, who proves to be, so efficient that they can't keep them off the field.
I like Pickles Cat.
Pickles
wants to know, is there any chance there isn't a rash of transfers leaving the program with how many guys seem to be getting passed in the depth chart by underclassmen? That
is going to happen. It's just the reality of it and exactly why you need to play the guys that need to play. Make them feel valuable and, don't just go off of... In this day and age, the transfer portal is working for you just fine if it's the guys who aren't playing enough that are leaving. It's when your frontline guys hit the portal that it's a problem. Because if you can clear those guys out, you're constantly restocking with new incoming freshmen. And the way the program's recruiting right now, I think that's a good thing. It's not bad. The transfer portal isn't bad if guys that aren't significant players are leaving. So it could be to your advantage.
Yeah. If you have a freshman that's ready to play and there's a sophomore or junior that they pass, it probably is best for all parties for the player to enter the transfer portal. Yep. It's like you said, I think the transfer portal is a good thing. If you are net gaining talent out of the portal versus what you lose, I think you're winning. And if you're able to recruit out of high school or junior college players that are ready to play right away, and if they're passing guys that have been on the team for a little bit, I think that's great. If you are always improving, that's what's going to make your team better. And maybe at a certain point, K-State will be at the point where they have improved so much to where they are a perennial national powerhouse. And at that point, I think that maybe you can say, yeah, maybe losing a lot of guys to the transfer portal, you just kind of reached that, that max load, I guess, of how many guys you can possibly have on your team. But there's a long way to go before you're worried about losing 4- and 5-star recruits to the portal because they weren't playing. But the opposite side of that problem is you have a whole bunch of 4- and 5-star recruits that are playing and helping your team. So there's a long journey before, the case, the transfer portal becomes a problem, I guess. As long as you are net gaining, I wouldn't worry about it.
I would agree. I've been saying this, and I think Saturday proved that it will happen. There'll be at least one, if not two, of the backup quarterbacks in the portal at year's end. I mean, when you play Avery and he looks like that, you know where it's headed. Unless he gets injured, you know what's going to happen. I think they'll just lose some guys. They'll have some attrition, but they'll just constantly bring in new guys. We'll see again. You just play him. If he's good enough to play him. And what happens, happens as a consequence of that. You can't constantly worry about the portal. You just got to just let it go out there. And if guys want to leave, okay, they weren't invested enough.
There's always going to be a plethora of players in the portal.
I like that word.
Thank you. So you can't worry about that, Fitz.
Can you say plethora of players 3 times fast for me?
Plethora of players, plethora of players, plethora, blah, blah.
Yeah. There we go. He was doing so well.
So good.
Yeah.
Lance over here made me nervous.
I know. He's judging.
Yeah. I haven't looked at him one bit because I'm faced the other way. So I don't know what he's doing.
Dude, he's just staring at me. He hasn't blinked in an hour.
From Contra Cat, do you think there will be a growing potential for early season conference games as the Big 12 continues to mature? Do you like those early challenges?
I think it's a move the Big 12 needs to consider. And I'm curious, this whole Mexico Bowl thing, we were calling it a bowl. We're thinking that it's going to be like a postseason bowl that'll involve the Big 12. I think it's going to be a perennial preseason game featuring 2 Big 12 teams.
Yeah, play it in week 0.
Yeah.
I don't know what the temperature is going to be like, but if you're playing it in Monterey, it's up in the mountains a little bit. You'd think that, well, even playing in Mexico City is like at 8,000 feet or it's something insane.
I know.
Might be hot, but I don't know if I'd want to play in Mexico City in August. But
I think next year, the Big 12 should own Week 0. They should have 3 different games scattered over the weekend. And, play one in Vegas, play one in Dallas, play one in Orlando, or, even one of the NFL stadiums down there. Just go for it. Just put it all out there. And, if you're the Big 16, Big 12, whatever, make it your showcase. Now, see, the thing is the way the contracts are set up with the Big Ten and SEC, so many of the good time slots are taken by those commitments. Networks have paid big money to have the 3rd Big Ten game, whatever crap game that'll be. You get the 3 games down in the Big Ten, it's not good football. But those slots are spoken for. So the Big 12 is going to have to get a little creative about when they play their games, how they line up. They're going to have some weeknight games, the Fridays and Thursdays. But I think Week 0 is a good place to park it with 3 incoming programs against 3 of the established programs.
See, I disagree. I think you do it on Week 1 and own Week 1. Go find a venue.
That's not a bad idea.
Go play. You open up. Go open up when nobody's opening up on Wednesday. There's no games on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Play on Wednesday in Vegas. Play on Thursday in Vegas. Play on Friday in Vegas. Play on Saturday. Play on Sunday, and then play Monday. And you could do this. And if there's there's 16 teams, do 8 games. Pick 2 different venues, and you send half the conference to one of 2 places. You play 4. Everybody, you play 9 conference games a year. Make one of them a neutral site game. So you have 4 road games, 4 home games, 1 neutral, and it's the season kickoff. And just own Labor Day. Own Labor Day weekend.
So
why not?
I'm in. Want me to call Brett Yormark?
Sure.
Okay, hold on. I don't have his number. Crap. I mean, he calls me all the time to get my advice.
But you could do Dallas. You could do Houston. You could do...
Yeah.
Any place with a dome that has turf. I know that Vegas is a dome that has grass. You'd have to lay the turf down, unfortunately, because that grass field, I don't think the Raiders would be very happy about having 5 football games played on their field before NFL opening week. So you need the turf.
It's the Raiders. Not like they use the field very well anyhow.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's a great idea, Zach.
There's your daily delivery.
I'm going to write that down.
Write that down.
Kleiman would support this, right? He's for his team getting tested, finding out about his team.
In that case, yeah. I think if you tell Chris Kleiman there's a game somewhere, I think he'll show up and play, I think he's one of those anytime, anywhere guys. And
yeah,
there was somebody on Reddit, I think, some comment about all these weeknight games. I think it was Indiana coach or whatever, but somebody made the comment. We're finding out that all of these anytime, anywhere coaches that'll, play wherever, whenever, they're finding out, well, maybe not if it's a Friday night because of high school football and whatever other excuses there are. But if you are, if you have the opportunity to play on national television on any day of the week, do it. Especially if there's no competition on a night like Thursday or Friday where you're competing with Amazon Prime.
The slate of games, for the most part, this past weekend were just horrible.
Yeah.
Just horrible.
Well, last night was all right.
Yeah. No, I mean...
in the end, it shouldn't have been. Should have been a reverse result. But
yeah. But you get a little of that chaos. You get Duke kicking the crap out of Clemson and Florida State just pummeling LSU. Probably limited LSU to only going up 1 spot in this week's rankings. Probably, they're probably going to go up 2 spots with a win. But it's SEC, so they lose. They're still great because they lose really well. They've been losing a lot.
Did the rankings come out today?
I don't even know.
Did they come out yesterday?
I don't even know.
K-State's 15.
Okay.
So jumped 1.
Wow. We're just rocketing up there. It's been so
Was it LSU that they hopped?
I don't know, actually.
I don't know. I didn't check. We were busy today.
We suck at it. Hey, intern over there.
He's not an intern. He's a shadow.
Makes it sound worse.
God, I mean, I probably should have told him in advance that, massaging my feet was part of the shadowing experience.
Trust me, I do it every day.
Yeah, it's part of the job. It's not anything weird to massage the boss's feet.
LSU dropped 9 spots to number 14.
There he is.
They're still
9
above
spots
Kansas
to
State.
14.
There he is.
Yeah.
And then, hold on.
A 1-0 team is behind an 0-1 team. You love it.
And Florida State is now number 4.
Yeah. There you go.
I saw Colorado popped in the rankings, which is, I mean, sure, they're probably deserving of it.
Why not?
Who expected that?
Our Shadow's got a great voice. Did you?
Should throw him a mic.
Well, yeah, but I'm afraid, he'd
just
start
take over
talking about
everything, yeah.
drugs and stuff, all those things those kids are mixed up in.
Yeah.
Getting tattoos and drag racing.
Vapes.
Listening to Rick Ross.
Oh, my God. That'd be horrible. I don't like people that like Rick Ross.
All right. That was rude.
I know. Any more? Is that it?
We got one more.
Okay, let's do one more.
From Win the Dang Day, 2001. So I'm gonna presume that's the
I think that is
WTDD is Win the Dang Day, 2001.
WWJD.
With the conversation about the new clock rule.
I really missed that
With
one.
the conversation about the new clock rules, what are your thoughts on the amount of commercials and the length of media timeouts? Could it end up hurting viewership for college football? Also with K-State speeding up the offense, do the new rules really affect the Cats at all?
Might affect the game a little bit, but the week 0, I think the numbers came out. It said there were 7% less plays per game, and I think the games were like 1.4% shorter. But the rule change was about player safety. It wasn't about commercials or game time. It was about less plays for players because, as we know, the college football playoff is expanding, and that's going to be 2 extra games for some teams. It'll be at least 1 extra game for the teams that get buys. But a 7% reduction in plays for each game over the course of an entire season, well, that's going to get you an extra game. So, if you're going to expand the playoffs and add more total games, but if you're able to reduce the total number of plays, that's probably a good thing for player health and safety. But from the commercial standpoint, this wasn't ever going to help that. The only way to make commercials shorter is if you make the commercials shorter and stop doing so many TV timeouts.
I read that on average there's roughly an hour of commercials.
I believe it.
The broadcast is 3 hours and 15 minutes, and an hour of it is commercials. And look, you got to have them because that's the big money, but they've got to figure out better ways to incorporate commercials into split screens. I'm sorry, if I'm an advertiser, I want that. I don't want people feeling like, okay, we can get up, go to the fridge. I would like to have content next to my commercial or, my branding on the screen. I would want that. They've just got to figure out a way. If they really want to reduce game length, they've got to get creative with how they're doing commercials.
Anybody that records the game, commercials are worthless. But if it's between 2nd and 3rd down, you pan in on Will Howard calling the play to the huddle, and you have a quick 20-second spot from Geico or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's really effective.
Does not lengthen the game in any way.
Nobody's listening to us. We have such great ideas. Zach just came up with an incredible idea that I'm going to blatantly steal for daily delivery and claim it as my own.
I wonder if I think NBC is the best network that gets, for golf, they call it playing through. They'll have the golf up in the one corner and then the ads, the commercials to the right.
It's brilliant.
For IndyCar, I think NASCAR too, they'll do a side-by-side with ads and whatever.
Can't miss those left turns.
Yeah. Not an IndyCar, though. Only sometimes in IndyCar. But yeah, there's better ways, I think, than just completely stopping the flow of the game to get your ads in that advertisers would probably be happy with. But I'd rather almost just see teams sell, or at the very least, leagues sell. It'd be great if Brett Yormark sold the naming rights to the Big 12 so they can put a little logo patch for the Big 12 conference with, whatever their sponsor is, and that pays for, X amount of TV revenue or, whatever. I think there's ways to get creative, selling your branding rights to your naming rights to other entities to make you some money that might improve competition in the times of games.
Welcome to this week's action of the Barstool 16.
Please no.
Yeah, I went there. What do you think? The Big 12 presented by GoPowerCat.com.
I think we don't have the money for that.
Oh, yes, we do.
So Zach, you said 7%, right?
Yeah.
That if the game is there's less plays, less possessions, this is going to give lesser teams, underdogs, a greater chance to win, because that's what you do when you're the underdog. You want to limit the game, you want to limit the possessions, control time of possession, so that you don't give the better team more chances to score the ball. If you can get a pick, if you can get a stop, that can go a long way in a game that's played with 10 or 12 possessions, right? If you're playing 20 possessions, the better team is going to have more opportunities to go score. So it does change the game. I mean, Kleiman has been asked about it. Same thing with Klein. They kind of brushed it off, and I think they were being honest. They haven't changed their approach too much, but I think there might come a point in time where it does change the game. You're going to obviously have to hold less back in your playbook and just put it all out there, and it's going to change. It's going to change the game. It really is.
I want more football, not less.
Who was in the press box?
I want less
for the media
commercials.
timeouts. Who was it? Was it you?
Yeah, they kept asking for the media timeouts.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, see, this is another pet peeve. They
you
always
need a
say
break.
The media timeouts is like, we don't want one. We
SEMO's
want
down
football.
38-0. I don't want a timeout. Keep going.
Tell you what, I do appreciate a good timeout when you're down on the field and it's hot and you can go run in and
Let's make this all about Zach.
Zach.
Yeah.
Well,
Gotta put the camera down for a little bit.
I did squeeze in 2 ice cream sandwiches on Saturday, so that's good. I mean, that's folks. I was at midseason performance. That's up there. Really mixed and matched it, and it was good. That it? Are we done? You got anything to add there, Shadow? Nope. He said no. Oh, he said he said Gil sucks. Yep,
Yeah,
he sure did. Well, that was nice of him. That's it for the Power Cat Questions podcast. Make sure you're checking out all the content we're cranking out. We've got the pregame show that'll come out Thursday, the Friday walkthrough, which is strangely on Friday, and, of course, the Insiders on Monday. I hope you caught our live debut. We'll be live every Monday at 1:30 throughout football. I thought it went pretty well, for the most part. This was outstanding.
Thank you for listening to the Power Cat Podcast. Make sure you're subscribing to our show at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
Matt Ryan?
Did you know the NFL playoffs on CBS stream live on Paramount Plus?
I just want a frozen fudge bar.
Bet you didn't know Super Bowl 58 was in Vegas this year.
What about a Sunday?
Super Bowl Sunday on CBS streams live on Paramount Plus.
Seriously?
Would an NFL MVP live?
Former MVP. Can we at least get a selfie?
Of course. I got your NFL playoffs on CBS and Super Bowl 58 streaming live on Paramount Plus.